Hi viewers, Chris here with another installment of LINKYO Live. We hope to make another educational video for you today, so make sure you unmute and stay till the end. So if you're tired of paying too much for the OEM cartridges and you're kind of exploring some alternatives that are out there, there's really three main choices. You can either refill your cartridge, you can either buy a remanufactured cartridge, or you can buy a what's called new build compatible cartridge. So I'd like to explain the differences between the three so you can make a better and more informed decision when it's time to purchase those. So the first and probably the cheapest option is to buy a jug of toner refill powder and refill the cartridge yourself. It's, like I said, the cheapest option, but not really the best. If you think about it, you're refilling the toner inside, but the toner cartridge is really a complex piece of equipment, and if you're not replacing all the other components inside, they're just going to continually wear down, which will result in a poor quality print and less of a page yield every time that you refill it. We like to make an analogy between refilling a cartridge and like buying a used older car. You can continue to fill it with gasoline, but if you don't service all the other components in the engine, you're going to get less efficiency, less miles per gallon, and eventually it might break down. Additionally, every cartridge has inside a waste toner tray. The toner powder that doesn't get transferred to the page and used gets kind of scraped off and collects in this tray. So if you're refilling your cartridge and you're not taking the time to empty the waste toner, eventually it's going to reach capacity and overflow and leak all inside your printer and make a big mess. It's not fun. So, the disassembly and the reassembly is a little complicated as well. It's tough to get it right, and it's tough to do it without making a mess. I'd like to show you how complicated that can be. So if you take your cartridge, there's a few screws on the side you'll need to undo. You need to take them out like this with a screwdriver. Remove this screw. Remove the one here. See, toner's already leaking all over my table. A spring that popped out, so it's hard to do this for the average user. The few extra dollars that you save by refilling your cartridge isn't really worth it in the long run. So the second option when shopping for aftermarket cartridges would be to buy a remanufactured cartridge. Remanufactured cartridges, in my opinion, they're better than refilling your own, but still maybe not the best choice in the aftermarket category. Remanufactured cartridge is essentially a brand name cartridge like a Brother or HP or Canon or whatever that's been used and reclaimed. Remanufacturing companies will take those used cartridges, which are referred to as cores. They'll disassemble them, clean them thoroughly, and replace some of the worn components such as the drum or the blade. We have a Brother cartridge here. So if this were to be empty and taken for remanufacturing, they would disassemble everything, replace some of the main components like the blade and the roller here, because those get used the most, and then refill it with toner powder, after cleaning it of course, and repackage it and sell it as a remanufactured cartridge. So there is one issue, I guess you could say, or problem with remanufactured cartridges, and that is that there's no industry regulation as to how much of the original components have to remain in the cartridge for it to be considered remanufactured. Remanufactured cartridges can contain anywhere from 1 to 99% of the original components inside, which will make finding a reliable source a little difficult. Remanufactured cartridges, they're also dependent on the supply of cores that are available. So your the price that you pay can fluctuate kind of wildly sometimes, depending on the supply and demand. You know, if the remanufacturing company has a hard time finding a large quantity of cores, they might have to pay a little more for them, which will inflate the consumer's price. So to recap, since not all the components inside are replaced always, can cause some unexpected issues down the line. You can also find one that's been filled with inferior toner powder, or toner powder that may not be compatible with the components inside, which will cause some poor quality prints down the road. So in my opinion, while it's better than refilling your own, remanufactured cartridges may not typically be the best option, unless of course you're a company that has to follow TAA compliance, in which case you have to buy only original or remanufactured cartridges. The third option when shopping for an aftermarket cartridge is going to be what's called a new build compatible, or also known as a generic cartridge. New build cartridges are made with 100% brand new components. There's nothing recycled or remanufactured or refilled about them. They have a slightly different appearance compared to the OEM version, but they're not a direct copy or clone. Our LINKYO cartridges are 100% new build, and they're made to match the same specifications as the OEM version at a much more affordable cost. We use only brand new material and utilize the automated manufacturing process to ensure that each batch we manufacture has a consistently good quality. Now we can't speak much on the other brands, but we do guarantee that our cartridges are manufactured under strict quality control with inspections during every step of the process to ensure that we make the best product that we can make. Furthermore, our 2-year guarantee covers any and all defects. If you're not satisfied, just give us a call, and we're happy to find the best solution for you, including refunding or replacing your order. So, there's a lot of decisions to make when you're shopping for toner. Hopefully this video helped you better understand the differences between your options, and therefore you can make a better and more informed purchasing decision. These toner cartridges are very complex, and there's a lot of different components, so going with the cheaper option isn't necessarily always the best option. I'd like to take a minute and go over the pros and cons of the choices that we discussed today. So, when refilling your cartridge, the pro is going to be that it's the absolutely cheapest method to renew your toner. However, the cons greatly outweigh the pros. Cons being that it can be a little difficult to refill your cartridge, as you've seen in the demo earlier. Every time you refill it, the quality does degrade a little bit, and there's no warranty that backs the toner powder inside. Moving on to remanufactured cartridges, pros being that they're cheaper compared to the brand name version. They usually have a warranty, depending on the company, and they're good if you need to follow TAA compliance. The cons being that it's hard to know how much of the components inside is original components, and that the price and availability can fluctuate depending on the supply of the cores on the market. Lastly, our LINKYO new build compatible cartridges are very affordable. They are backed by our 2-year warranty, and they're made with all brand new components. Cons being that occasionally OEM manufacturers will release firmware updates which block the use of all aftermarket cartridges, not just LINKYO. Occasionally this does happen, and when it does, we work as fast as we can to find a fix and provide replacements to anyone affected by that. And lastly, they're not designed to be reused, so when the cartridge is empty, you just need to purchase a new one. So, if you're tired of paying too much for our brand name cartridges, why don't you just give us a try? With our 30-day return policy and our 2-year warranty, you've really got nothing to lose. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time on LINKYO Live.